The school hallway was filled with laughter, gossip, and the sound of footsteps echoing against the tile floor. You hesitated with every step, your head slightly bowed, your worn out shoes, with the front part slightly torn, caught the attention of the students around you. Their whispers and muffled laughter burned into your ears like sharp knives. Look at her shoes. One boy snickered, nudging his friend. She's like a walking joke. Another added, grinning as he paused. You bit your lip, tightening your grip on your back to stop your trembling hands. You would endure this for years now, ever since your mother passed away when you were just 7, with your father drowning in alcohol to cope. The burden of survival had fallen entirely on you. You worked part-time jobs, juggled school, and still managed to maintain the top position in your class. But even being a university topper couldn't shield you from the cruel reality of being poor in school full of privileged students. Reaching your locker, you focused on opening it quickly, praying the giggles and taunts would fade. As you pulled out your books, the sharp voice of Mia, the most popular girl in school, shattered your momentary peace. Hey, Goofy, she called out, her tone dripping with mockery. Your hands clenched into fists, but you forced yourself to stay calm. Turning slow, you saw Mia standing there with her two shadows, Sia and Ria flanking her. Their amused smiles made your stomach churn. Yes, you replied softly, not wanting to escalate the situation. Mia smirked and shoved three thick notebooks into your hands. Complete these assignments for me by tomorrow. Your heart sank as you looked at the pile in your hands. I can't, you stuttered, barely able to meet her eyes. Exams are coming and I need to prepare. Mia's smirk vanished, replaced by an icy glare. What did you just say? She snapped, stepping closer. Say it louder, I didn't hear you. Gathering all your courage, you repeated slightly louder this time. I can't do it. I have to study for my exams. Her expression darkened, and before you could react, she grabbed a fistful of your hair. Yanking your head back painfully, you gasped, the sting bringing tears to your eyes. How dare you deny me? She hissed, her voice venomous. Listen here, if you want to graduate and walk out of the school with your certificate, you will do exactly what I say. Got it? The pain was unbearable, and you nodded quickly, your voice barely a whisper. Okay. She released your hair with a satisfied smirk. Good girl, just remember, don't mess with me now. She added a mocking grin. Go get me 3 strawberry milkshakes from the canteen and hurry up. Your face fell. I don't have money, you murmured, your voice trembling. Mia laughed cruelly, her friends joining in. Oh, of course, she doesn't. Look at those rat-eaten shoes. She probably can't even afford a decent meal, let alone milkshakes for us. Figure it out, or do I need to remind you about your certificate again? They walked away, still laughing, leaving you standing there clutching the books tightly against your chest, your vision blurred with unshed tears. But you refused to let them fall. You couldn't show weakness, not here, not now. While a familiar voice called out, and you turned to see Sarah hurrying toward you. She was your only friend, a kind soul who never judged you despite being from a wealthy family. Are you okay? She asked, concern etched on her face. Her eyes flickered to your disheveled appearance and the books in your hands. What did Mia want this time? You gave her a small, forced smile. Nothing new, just assignments and some milkshakes. Sarah's expression darkened. Why do you keep letting her treat you like this? You don't have to bear it, Ryan. You shook your head. It's my fate, Sarah. I can't fight her. Graduation is just 2 months away. My certificate is more important than her insults. Sarah sighed deeply, her heart aching for you. She reached into her bag and pulled out some money, pressing into your hand. Here, take this. Buy the milkshakes. I know you won't accept help easily, but consider this a loan. Pay me back when you get a good job, okay? You hesitated, but her insistence and the warmth in her eyes made you relent. Thank you, Sarah. I'll pay you back. I promise. She smiled gently. Don't worry about it. Now go. I have to get to go class, but we'll talk later, okay? You nodded, watching her walk away before heading to the canteen. The sting of humiliation lingered, but Sarah's kindness gave you a small glimmer of hope. Someday you told yourself this would all be a distant memory. You just had to endure a little longer. On the other hand, a man with a strong work-toned body was relentlessly punching a heavy boxing bag. His punches echoed through the gym room, his sweat dripping onto the floor as his sharp breaths filled the air. The rhythmic thudding of his fist stopped when a man in a black suit stepped cautiously into the room. Boss, the man began, his voice steady but respectful. The boxing man, Jungkook, paused, wiping sweat from his brow with a towel handed by another guard. Come in, he said. His voice is deep and commanding. The guard took a step forward. Sir, we found the address of the girl who saved our bump. Jungkook's sharp eyes glimmered with interest. His lips curved into a small smile. Go ahead, he said, motioning for the man to continue. She's a high school girl, the guard explained. Her father is an alcoholic and she's been managing everything on her own, studying while working part-time jobs to support their household. Jungkook's gaze softened momentarily, admiration flickering across his face. Such a responsible girl, he muttered, tossing the towel aside. Where is her house and school? The guard provided the address. Jungkook's smile grew as he repeated softly, Princess, I'm coming. Later that evening, Jungkook stepped into his luxurious bedroom. The soft hum of the shower soon filled the air as he prepared himself for what lay ahead. Meanwhile, back at your house, you walked through the creaky wooden door. The evening shadows stretched across a small, dimly lit living room. Your father slouched on the worn-out couch with a glass of alcohol in hand, looked up as you entered. Wine, I need to talk to you, he said gruffly. You hesitated, your grip tightening on your school bag. You had no energy left for a confrontation after the day you had. Pretending not hear him, you turned towards your room. I fixed your marriage. His voice broke through, stopping you in your tracks. You spun around, disbelief and shock written all over your face. What did you say? I fixed your marriage, I repeated, standing up unsteadily. He paid a huge amount of money and I want you to marry him. Your chest tightened as the words sank in. Are you mad? You yelled, tears brimming in your eyes. I have been struggling my entire life and now you're selling me to someone? Your father's expression turned defensive. What can I do? We are drowning in debt, while we are already working yourself to the bone, and it's not enough. This man can solve all our problems. Tears spilled over as you clutched your chest, shaking your head. Appa, what did I do to deserve this? I have been working since I was a child, sacrificing everything to keep us afloat. How could you do this to me? He sighed heavily. He's not just any man, he's John Jungkook, a mafia king. He has more money than you can imagine, and he will take care of you well. Your blood ran cold at the name. Jungkook, the name was enough to strike fear into anyone. You wouldn't heard of this reputation, the power he wielded, the danger that surrounded him. No, you whispered, backing away. I'm not marrying him. He's a mafia king. Before your father could reply, a deep, commanding voice resonated from the doorway. Van, you froze. Slowly you turned towards the source of the voice, your heart hammering in your chest. There he stood, emerging from the shadows with an aura of dominance. John Jungkook, his tall, muscular frame was clad in a sleek black suit, his dark eyes piercing and unreadable. His presence alone was suffocating. Hi, I'm John Jungkook. He introduced himself, his voice smooth yet intimidating. Your knees felt weak as you stared at him, unable to speak. He tilted his head slightly, a faint smirk playing on his lips as he stepped closer. Hello, are you here? He said, snapping his fingers in front of your face to pull you out of your stunned state. You stumble back, your words stumbling out in a shaky whisper. Yeah. He studied you for a moment, then his expression softened slightly. Thanks for saving my bum. The memory clicked in your mind, the injured dog you had helped a few days ago. You nodded, unable to form words, your fear evident in your trembling hands. Jungkook's lips curved into a faint smile. We'll be seeing more of each other from today, he said, his tone carrying an unsettling uncertainty. He turned and walked towards the door, but paused before leaving. Glancing over his shoulder, he said, Good night, Wine. Happy days are waiting for you. With that, he left, his presence lingering in the air like a storm that had just passed. You stood rooted to the spot, your mind racing and your heart pounding in your chest. The image of his intense gaze was seared into your memory, haunting and unforgettable. You ran to your room, slamming the door shut behind you. Sliding down to the floor, you clutched your chest, trying to steady your breathing. The encounter is replayed in your mind, sending chills down your spine. You didn't know what lay ahead, but one thing was clear, your life was about to change forever. It was the next morning. You slipped on your torn shoes, feeling their wear and tear pressing against your toes. Letting out a sigh, you stepped outside to head for school. Just as you began walking, a sleek black limo pulled up in front of you, its presence making your heart skip a bit. You froze in place as the door opened, revealing Jungkook stepping out with his signature calm yet intimidating aura. Good morning, he greeted, his deep voice sending shivers down your spine. Your heart raced with fear and confusion. What's he doing here? He walked toward you, his every step measured and purposeful. Removing his sunglasses, his intense gaze locked onto yours, and for a fleeting moment it felt as though the world had stopped. Time itself seemed to bow before his commanding. Then, to your utter astonishment, he bent down to a squat in front of you and placed a pair of brand new branded shoes near your feet, your eyes widened in despair. Wear this, he said casually, his voice is soft yet firm. with this? You stammered, your voice trembling with nervousness. You glanced at your own shoes, wishing they would disappear from sight. A small smile tugged at the corner of Jungkook's lips. Consider this a small gift for saving Bum, he said, using the incident with his dog as a reason to justify the gesture. You hesitated, unsure how to respond, fear and confusion mixed with a strange warmth you couldn't quite place. Sensing your hesitation, Jungkook spoke again, his tone soft yet commanding. Please, Van, let me do this. Reluctantly, you nodded and bent down to pick up the shoes. Thank you murmured, barely meeting his eyes. As you struggled to slip your foot into the shoe, Jungkook surprised you by reaching out. With one hand, he held the shoe steady, and with the other, he gently guided your foot into it. His touch was firm and gentle, and your heart pounded in your chest. You stared at him, utterly bewildered. The powerful Mafia king holding my foot? The thought was surreal. Jungkook's expression remained calm, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Once both shoes were on, he stood up, towering over you. They look nice, he commented, his gaze briefly sweeping over your feet before meeting your eyes again. You swallowed hard, unable to process what had just happened. Your cheeks felt warm, and you quickly looked away. Thank you whispered, your voice barely audible. Jungkook's lips curved into a slight smile. Let's go, I will drop you off at school, he said, gesturing toward the limo. Your eyes widened in surprise. No, I can take the bus, you protested, shaking your head. Please, he said, his voice is softer now, almost pleading. For me. The sincerity in his tone caught you off guard, and before you knew it, you found yourself nodding. Jungkook immediately opened the car door for you, his chivalrous gesture leaving you speechless. You hesitated for a moment before stepping inside the luxurious vehicle. The soft leather seats felt foreign against your skin, a stark contrast to the worn-out buff seats you were used to. Jungkook joined you in the car, sitting beside you. The ride was quiet at first, the only sound being the gentle hum of the engine. You kept your gaze fixed on your hands, too nervous to look around to meet his eyes. How are your studies going? Jungkook asked, breaking the silence. You blinked, startled by the question. They are going well, you replied hesitantly. Exams are coming up soon, so I have been busy preparing. He nodded thoughtfully. You're a hard worker, he said. That's admirable. His words caught you off guard, and you glanced at him surprised. Was this the same man who instilled fear in everyone around him? There was a gentleness in his tone that didn't match his reputation. Before you could respond, the car came to a sudden stop. You looked out the window and saw another car blocking the road. Jungkook's expression hardened, and he stepped out of the car, his demeanor instantly shifting to that powerful Mafia leader you had heard about. Through the tinted windows he watched as he spoke to the men outside, his presence commanding and intimidating. After a brief discussion, he returned to the limo, his expression softening as he looked at you. I'm sorry, Van, he said. I have urgent work to attend to. I can't come with you to school. You quickly shook your head. It's okay, I can take the bus, you said, trying to reassure him. But Jungkook frowned and shook his head. No, he said firmly, you will go into the limo, it's safer. Before you could protest, he called over one of his guards and instructed them to ensure you arrived at school safely. Reluctantly, you nodded, knowing you couldn't argue with him. As the limo resumed its journey, you leaned back against the seat, your mind racing. The events of the past 12 hours played over and over in your head. Meeting Jungkook for the first time, the way he had looked at you, the shoes he had given you, and the gentle yet commanding way he had treated you. It was overwhelming. Why is he all doing this? You wondered, your heart beating fast. What does he want from me? You glanced down at your shoes on your feet. They fit perfectly and they were far more comfortable than anything you would have ever worn. Despite your fear and confusion, a small part of you couldn't help but feel grateful. When the limo pulled up in front of your school, you stepped out hesitantly, feeling the weight of the other students' stares. The sleek black vehicle and the presence of Jungkook's guards made you stand out even more than usual. Ignoring the murmurs and whispers around you, you made your way inside. Your thoughts are still consumed by Jungkook and the strange, unexpected turn your life had taken. Is she serious? Someone muttered. Must be a mistake. How could she afford a limo? And that chimed in. You felt their gazes like needles against your skin, making you want to sink into the floor. Then came Mia, the queen of your class, storming toward you with her trademark sneer. Her high heels clicked sharply against the tile floor. Look, who decided to act rich today? Mia scoffed, standing in front of you. Her eyes raked over your figure, lingering on the expensive shoes Jungkook had given you. Goofy is trying to be someone she's not. How much did you pay them to rent that limo, huh? She mocked, flipping her hair dramatically. Before you could respond, Mia reached out as if to grab your hair. Back off. A deep voice barked. You turned to see one of Jungkook's skirt gripping Mia's wrist firmly but carefully, preventing her from touching you. Gas rippled through the hallways as everyone froze, watching the scene unfold. Ma'am, you should go inside, the guard said to you. His tone is professional but firm. Sia, one of Mia's minions, leaned in closer to her and whispered, did you see her shoes? They're expensive. Mia's eyes narrowed, her lips curling into a vindictive smirk. She won't be smiling for long, she said, flipping her hair and striding toward the classroom. I will deal with her later. Inside the classroom, you tried to focus on the lecture, but your mind was elsewhere. The events of the morning had left you shaken. When Mia walked up to your desk during a break, you braced yourself. Did you finish the assignment? She demanded, her tone cold. You silently handed her your notebook, avoiding her gaze. Mia grabbed it, glanced at you with a disdainful look, and walked away without another word. Her silence was almost more unnerving. The class resumed, and just as you began to feel slightly at ease, your phone buzzed in your pocket. You pulled it out discreetly and read the message. Hi, this is Jungkook, save it. Your heart skipped a beat. Why was Jungkook texting you? And why did his simple words bring a small smile to your lips? You quickly saved his number, your fingers trembling slightly. This was strange. A man so powerful, so dangerous, taking an interest in you. It scared you. Days passed and Jungkook's presence in your life became more frequent. He would text you daily, sometimes asking about your studies, sometimes just saying good morning or take care. Slowly, his consistent kindness began to chip away at the fear you had felt for him, but your classmates, especially Mia, were. One day, as you were organizing your books after class, Sam, one of the boys who had belayed you in the past, walked up to you. The classroom fell silent as he cleared his throat dramatically. While he began, holding out a single red rose. I'm sorry for how I treated you before. I have realized my mistake. Will you go out with me? Your eyes widened in shock. Was he serious? This was the same boy who had made your life miserable. You stared at him, unsure of how to respond. You reached out to take the rose, planning to reject him politely, but before you could say a word, he turned and handed the rose to Mia, who was standing beside you. Did you think I would actually love a poor girl like you? Sam sneered, loud enough for the entire class to hear. The room erupted in laughter. Mia smirked, leaning closer to you. Stay in your lane, Wine. You're nothing but a joke. Humiliated, you couldn't hold back the tears that pricked your eyes. You grabbed your bag and left from the room, running to the bathroom. Locking yourself in a stall, you sank to the floor, tears streaming down your face. The laughter, the insults, they echoed in your mind like a cruel, endless loop. When you finally calmed down, you pulled out your phone to check the time, only to see a notification. Your heart sank further as you opened it. A video of Sam's fake proposal had been posted in the school group chat. The comments were horrible, mocking you relentlessly. Meanwhile, in his office, Jungkook sat scrolling through his phone. When he saw the video, his jaw tightened, and his hand clenched around the device. His dark eyes burned with anger as he replayed the video, noting every face, every laugh, every insult. They'll regret this, he muttered, his voice low and dangerous. Actually, Jungkook set up a secret informant to know about updates about you, so that person shared the video to Jungkook. That evening, as you walked out of the school, still reeling from the day events, you froze. The sleek black Benz was parked at the gate, and Jungkook stood leaning against it, looking effortlessly handsome in a tailored suit. His eyes softened when he saw you, but there was an undeniable intensity behind them. Hi, Van, he said while taking off his sunglasses, his voice warm and commanding. You stood there, speechless, as he walked toward you. Then, to your utter shock, Jungkook opened the car door and pulled out a large bouquet of flowers. He knelt on one knee in front of you, holding the bouquet up with a small, genuine smile. Gasps and whispers erupted around you as students gathered to watch the scene unfold. Mia and her friends stood frozen, their mouths hanging open in disbelief. One, Jungkook began, his voice carrying over the murmurs of the crowd. You're brave, kind, and stronger than you think. Thank you for saving my bum, and thank you for being you. Your eyes widened as you stared at him, unable to process what was happening. Mia was feeling jealous to see Jungkook proposing to you. She thought every handsome man would only fall for her, but here, you came into my life like a ray of light in my dark world. You saved my bum, but more importantly, you have saved me in many ways. I can't even explain. I want to be your side, supporting you as you chase your dreams and achieve your goals. Will you do me the honor of becoming my wife when you are ready? Tears welled up in your eyes as his heartfelt words sank in. The surrounding was silent, all eyes on you. Yes, you whispered, your voice trembling with emotion. Yes, I will. Slowly you reached out and took the flowers, your fingers brushing against his, your heart raced as you whispered, thank you. But in a fraction of seconds, Mia came there and snatched the bouquet from you before throwing it on the ground. How dare you accept my fiance's proposal?
She raised her hand to slap you, but before she could, Jungkook held her up. It wasn't that much shocking, but what the shocking news was, Jungkook is Mia's fiance. The whole school is shocked along with you. Miss Mia, don't dare to touch this John Jungkook's future wife, else you will have to face the consequences. All of their jaws dropped upon hearing the name John Jungkook because they knew he is the powerful and dangerous mafia, but they never saw his face. She is your future wife? Then what about me? What about my father's promise? She asked, looking at you angrily. I never promised your father. Even I rejected you to marry in the future because I hate a girl like you, and your father has seen it lively why I rejected you, Mr. Choi. Her father got out of the car, which made her fear and shocked. Dad, she started with fear. Don't call me dad. I'm feeling ashamed to have a daughter like you. I thought you were well mannered, but after knowing your taste, such a dump you are. Come with me. Her father dragged her by arm. She was glaring at her both angrily while leaving from there. But she felt defeated when you smirked at her as Jungkook pulled you closer to him by your waist. The smirk is enough for her to kill because it's a huge insult for her. One, wait here. Jungkook said softly. He turned back toward the crowd, his expression darkening as he approached Sam. The boy's confidence trembled as Jungkook towered over him. Did you ever see your face in the mirror? Jungkook growled, his voice low and menacing. Do you think someone like you deserves my violence? Sam swallowed hard, unable to meet Jungkook's piercing gaze. Delete the video. Jungkook ordered, his tone leaving no room for argument. And post an apology now, or I will make sure you regret it. Sam nodded frantically, pulling out his phone. Jungkook's eyes flicked to Sia and Ria, who was watching in stunned silence. Stay out of her way, he said coldly before turning on his heel and heading back to the bench. Jungkook's smile widened. Without warning, he scooped you up in his arms, carrying your bridal style toward the bench. The crowd erupted into shocked murmurs and gasps. Let's go, Wine, Jungkook said softly to you as he placed you gently in the car. Inside the car, you sat, clutching the bouquet, your mind spinning. When Jungkook got in and started driving, you finally found your voice. What are you doing here? You asked, your tone a mix of confusion and curiosity. I came to pick you up, he replied simply, his eyes focused on the road. You hesitated, then asked, what was that back there? Jungkook glanced at you briefly, a small smile tugging at his lips. I said, what I feel. Your cheeks blushed, but you hid the smile. Then what about Mia? He sighed deeply before answering. His father is my father's friend, and thought of killing my life by tying me to his daughter, but I hate her and rejected her. You nodded, gulping your smile. But why do you hate her? Jungkook turned to you and answered, which made your eyes wide. Because she's not my princess. Why? Your cheeks flushed as you turned to look out the window, hiding the small, happy smile that spread across your face. Jungkook noticed but said nothing, his own smile growing as he drove. For the first time in a long while, you felt a glimmer of hope and maybe, just maybe, a sense of belonging. You realized that your once miserable life was now filled with hope, all thanks to the man. As the ride goes on, you slowly placed your hand on his hand, which held the shift knobs. Jungkook smiled at you and held your hand before raising the car speed as he is flying in the cloud nine with your acceptance. Thank you for watching.